Hello and welcome to a video about the GlassLoader produced in the TechWiz project. GlassLoader is a tool where we define how written language should be translated into sign language. It is used to gather a corpus of interpretations between a written language and a sign language that can later be used for automatic generation of visualized sign language from text. Although the platform can support any language pairs, regardless if they are spoken or sign languages, for the purpose of the project in the TechWiz dictionary that uses entries from the GlassLoader, we support only the national pairs of spoken and sign languages from the project partner countries. For example, the Greek and the Greek Sign Language. GlassLoader is an online tool available at the link displayed on the screen. You will also find the link to the GlassLoader in the text above this video. Similarly to TechWiz Studio, the GlassLoader also starts with a login page. Users need to be assigned to specific sign language pairs they are able to support, and they are given some additional privileges than contributors. Under the login button, you will notice the contributors button that allows access to anybody without credentials. If you do not have an account, you can use the contributors option to gain access to the GlassLoader to try the tool and contribute. Contributors are mostly the same as users with credentials, but they do not get access to some specific elements that we will mention later. Their inputs are also stored separately to prevent any potential purposeful misuse of the tool to insert inappropriate Glass entries. Contributors must first select the sign language they would want to contribute to. The selected sign language is connected with the national written counterpart, so you will always be making a Glass for languages from within the same country. We would recommend picking the language pair you will be most familiar with. For the purposes of this video, we will be using the Slovene Sign Language. And now we can use the Contributors button to gain access to TechWiz GlassLoader. The first page we see is the View Glass page, where we can see all the existing entries for the selected pair of languages. In our case, we have phrases in Slovene and Glass in Slovene Sign Language. Even though you might not understand Slovene, you can see the purpose of the Glass. The GlassLoader provides mapping from a word or a set of words in a written language, words in the left column, to a corresponding sign or a set of signs in a sign language, words in the right column. For example, we put into the GlassLoader a phrase in Slovene, and to it we would associate one or more signs from the Slovene Sign Language that would convey that same meaning. Signs from the sign language would be denoted by the names under which they were configured in TechWiz Studio. Just by quickly scanning the two columns on this first page, you can notice that there are some considerable differences between the two columns. Longer entries are considerably shorter in the sign language. Because they use fewer elements, some words are completely different because a single sign can mean multiple things in spoken language. For Slovene language, one example is changing the ends of the words depending on time, person or count. It does not translate into the sign language where the same sign is used regardless of any of those differences, etc. Some such differences can be more or less specific for different languages. Speaking of languages, in the top right corner there is a language selector. One username could have access to multiple languages, but as I can see currently, we have set up only one per contributor account. Registered users can have access to multiple languages. Underneath the language selection, we have the search bar. As you would expect, this helps you find specific Glass entries based on their content. At the bottom, we can see there are currently 108 Glass entries for the Slovene Sign Language, and we would have to go over 11 pages to see them all. On the right side, next to each Glass entry, we have the controls to edit individual entries. We can edit them by clicking the Edit button. A new page will open with different options. Obviously, we can edit the data in the text fields. You can copy data from clipboard or you can clear all data. The red minus deletes the entry, while we can add an entry with the plus sign. We can write something just as I test here. The double arrows button would copy everything from the lower entry into the upper entry, but that is only useful in very specific circumstances, so we will skip over that. To save the changes, and in this case even a new entry, just click Save in the bottom right corner. We cannot see the updated entry and a new entry we added at the same time, because new entry is added to the last page. To find it more quickly, we can just search for it using the search option we mentioned before. You might have also noticed the button with the ear icon in the right bottom corner. If we click on it, we will get the same avatar helper we get in the TechWiz dictionary to help with signing. We can use it by highlighting any text on the web page, Typically, we would want to choose the text in the gloss entry because that text should be in line with the signs we have created in the studio. After we have selected some text, we can have the avatar sign it by pressing the play button. This can be used to help understand parts of the page, or it can be used to check if the gloss is correctly signed. The avatar can also be moved around freely if it's in the way of some text, or disabled after we no longer need it. Let us now move on to the section where we can create new gloss entries. As you can see, the menu on the left side lets us move between different sections. The Add Gloss section you will find very familiar, as it looks exactly like the interface for editing entries, only this time the text fields are empty. The language selection is the same as in the View Gloss section, where we can switch languages if we have access to multiple languages. On the right side, we have the same controls as before, so let us try to make one gloss entry. Let's put I went for a run yesterday, even though this is not in Slovene, but for the purposes of this demonstration it should serve. Now in the gloss section, we would put something like me run yesterday. For the avatar to be able to sign the 3 signs that are in the gloss, we have to make sure they were previously configured in TechWiz Studio. If they were not, we should add them pretty soon. If we want to add another entry before we save, we can press the plus button. Just for demonstration purposes, we will put 1 and 2 in the text boxes and then press the 2 down chevrons next to the first entry. You will notice that the content of the second entry got copied to the first, and the controls next to the second entry have suggested to us a deletion of the second entry. We can delete it by clicking on the trash can icon or keep it by clicking the circular arrow. For now, let us delete it. We are again left with only one entry. Under the text fields, you might notice there is Notes text. If we click on that, we get a new and bigger text box where we can write our notes on the translation from the written language to the sign language. In the bottom right corner, we have the option to use the avatar, as is the case for all the pages in the Gloss Loader, and the Save button that will save the entry we made into the database for Slovene Sign Language. Now let's save it. We will redirect it to the View Gloss again, and if we go to the last page, we can see the gloss entry we have just created. Finally, let us go into the Words section of the menu and select Word List. We have mentioned before that if we want the avatar to be able to sign anything that is translated into the Gloss Loader, the signs in the gloss have to be configured in the TechWiz Studio. Here we have a list of all the signs that have been configured together with some additional information like when were the signs created, who created them and validated them. Of course, we can also search for them. For example, let us search for cat. You can see that cat is configured. In fact, we have configured it twice. The word list is very useful when making the gloss to be able to quickly find the signs we want to use if they have been previously configured in the studio or if the signs still have to be created. You have now seen all the functionalities that contributors have access to, while users with full access would also be able to configure hand configurations for the TechWiz Studio. If you remember, we said that which hand configurations are available in the studio is dependent on the sign language. Here, users with appropriate access can select which hand configurations can be used in a specific language. This concludes our presentation of the TechWiz Gloss Loader. We hope you will try the Gloss Loader for yourself. If you wish to learn more about the project and its results, continue to watch the videos, or you can follow and/or contact us on Facebook, LinkedIn and Instagram, or visit the project's website. Thank you for watching and goodbye.